That's all right.
Hello?
W3 is about to die. Oh, does that kill the... Oh, I pressed the wrong button. If I press this top one, though, it'll just turn off. Yes. All right. We'll get some more.
Testing. Hello. All right.
Hello, how are you?
Testing, testing. Can you hear me on this one too?
Yes, hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. All right. Can you hear me okay? It is good to see you. Thanks for being here. Fantastic. Yeah, I had myself and my 2-year-old, we had a little bit of a sniffle last week. And in this day and age, right, even the slightest of sniffles takes you out of commission. It shuts down the preschool and everything. But actually, I guess that was 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago. Anyways, I'm feeling great. How are you all feeling? Good. Well, you probably heard at our last State of the Business meeting, if you were there, under the current guidelines, our infection preventionist has given us the go-ahead for speakers and presenters and events to remove masks if they're comfortable doing so, as long as they're fully vaccinated and feeling great, and at least 6 feet away from those in the audience. So don't get too close. Well, I've realized I got to start brushing my teeth now. It's been about 2.5 years, and if I'm ever gonna take off my mask and get close to you, I better start doing that again. That was a joke. Just to clarify. I don't want to start any rumors. So 2 weeks ago, I wasn't able to join. And let's see if I remember correctly, Bill and maybe it was just Bill. Was anyone here 2 weeks ago? Bill and Christy? Okay, good. And how did that go? Good. Bill's a good guy. If you haven't had it, Christy's great too, but she's been around long enough that we probably all know her fairly well. But Bill's only been with us for a few months, and just a good individual, really intelligent, very passionate about senior living and working with people. And anyways, he's great, and I appreciate him filling in for me a couple of weeks ago. I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to take a couple of minutes first. I got quite a few things actually to go over, which is exciting. But before we get into my list, I'm going to ask Terry. Terry's going to give us a brief recap on an event that the foundation planned and executed just this past week. So Terry, take it away.
I'll be happy to do that. I'm going to back up 6 feet so that I can satisfy your requirement. It was just a week ago that we did our fundraising wine tour, and I wanted to just give you a little information about what happened and what we did. So the there were 15 people who bought tickets and participated in this visit to the Testarossa Winery, which is in the novitiate just up the hill in Los Gatos. So it's in our backyard, so to speak. And when we first arrived, they showed us a nice little video about how they found it. They are actually just like a Silicon Valley startup. My remote is not going to be cooperating here all of a sudden. So just push the space bar. So we'll get, there we go. We were hosted in one of their wine cellars, which was actually created in 1892. They've changed the furniture since then, but we sat around a nice long table and we got this nice little video on what's happening. And I guess, Bradley, I'm going to have to ask you to do this again. I either need new batteries or I need to be closer to the receiver there. We saw the video about Testarossa and how they got started. And we tasted 7 different wines. Normally they do 5 for a wine tasting. They did 6 and then we added another one. So everybody had a taste of 7 different of their wines. And we had a host who was with us, who was a member of their staff, to explain where they came from, how they were made, what they taste like, why they're most important to their winemaking process. It was really an enjoyable visit. And bump the space bar again. We also had some yummy snacks, something I know a little bit more about. They provided us with cheese and crackers and so forth. What's most important, if you will bump the slide projector one more time, we raised just over $1,500 for the benevolence fund here at the terraces. And so those of you who participated really benefited somebody. Each person who participated will have a tax donation of $105. You'll get some information about that soon. We learned the details about each of the wines that we enjoyed, and most important of all is the next bullet. We had a great time telling stories, enjoying each other's company, and delighting in the superb hospitality of the Testarossa people. My favorite story was Kate's story about the file that was baked into the cake. You'll have to ask her about that. I would be the first to admit that I'm not an expert in wines. And so what I did right away when we started to organize this was I surrounded myself with people who knew a little bit more than I did, or a whole lot more than I did about wine. And you recognize these people from the dining room. These are your fellow residents. Carl is even here today. And they gave us the benefit of their wisdom and their expertise. And they even went through the tough chore of going to different wineries and tasting the wines to make sure that we sent you to the right place. Tough duty. But they did it like a bunch of troopers. So those are our people. I have to also thank Judy, who is the head of our foundation here at the Terraces. She did extraordinary work. You might have even gotten a telephone call from her saying, why don't you join us for this? Anyway, she did a lot to help us with the planning and the details, and I can't thank her enough. So thank you, Judy, for that. We also have to thank Testarossa. When we approached them and said we want to do a wine tasting and it's to benefit our benevolence fund, they said, let us donate the wine bottle that you want for a raffle. So one lucky person went away with a bottle of wine, not only got to taste wine, but they got an uncorked bottle to take home with them. And they did that on their own. So bless them. We really appreciate that. We also thank Bradley and the leadership of TLG, who let us use the bus. It's just a little too far to walk, and it's uphill, at least going there. So we're grateful that we had the bus to do that with. And I also want to thank a couple members of the foundation committee who said, you know, I can't come, or my spouse can't come, or my significant other can't come, but it's important. I'll buy a ticket and you give it to somebody who can benefit from that ticket. That spirit of giving and altruism is one of the things that makes me so proud to be here at the Terraces of Los Gatos. I live in a community where people care about each other and are willing to give to make sure that everything works out well. So thank you so much if you're one of those people. I won't mention who their names are, but they were very generous. And finally, I want to thank anyone who participated. If you went, wonderful. We're glad that you came along. I think you probably enjoyed it. We might even do something like this again later in the year or next year. And there are other events that are coming down the road. There's going to be a visit to an auto exhibit that you might want to consider joining, which will also be a fundraiser to benefit the Benevolence Fund. So it's a win-win. Everybody wins and everybody has a good time. So thank you for the time on the agenda, Bradley. Oh, that's right. We've got a legacy challenge coming. So even if you don't want to come and drink wine or watch some cars, if you give a legacy gift, which is, mention the Terraces in your will, with some money behind that. Or if you start a charitable gift annuity where you can get a nice return on some money, those are things that we will get a match from Human Good for our benevolence fund. So consider doing that if you haven't already done so. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, for that report, and thank you to the foundation and everyone involved in the work that you do for the foundation, and specifically for that event. Some of you may have heard me talk about, we have this desire here at the Terraces of Los Gatos to, one of the terms we like to use is help inspire our residents' best lives. And it's sort of a corny phrase, but really what we try to do is provide opportunities for our residents, all of you, to really live the life that you wish to live. And we talk a lot about this idea of life enrichment, which is sort of a vague and ambiguous term of, I don't know, living your best life, living a fulfilling, meaningful, rich life. And our role, as I see it, is to create an environment where we can have a resident-driven and team member-supported life enrichment experience at the Terraces, meaning you, the residents, are the ones that decide what you want to do with your lives, how you want to spend your time. And our role is really small. It's figuring out how to support all of you in doing that. And this trip to the winery, yes, there is a goal it's a fundraising event to support the foundation. But in addition to that, it's just a great experience that's completely driven by residents of the Terraces of Los Gatos. And basically all we need to do, as Terry said, is, make sure the bus has a little bit of gas in it, and maybe have somebody to drive it. But it's you that created this experience. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately. How many here had the chance to participate in the Community Currents event? It was yesterday, right? Was it yesterday or was it 2 days ago? Time is just a big mush sometimes. But okay, so 2 days ago, and we had the mayor of Los Gatos and the vice mayor and the town manager. I couldn't remember the exact title. And I had the opportunity to sit over in the corner and watch. I had to slip out a little bit early, unfortunately. But as I sat there and watched the way that residents were engaging with the attendees, and thinking about how that is a perfect example of what I love to see at the Terraces of Los Gatos. This is a program that was an ongoing program that one of our residents, Ms. Shane, Marion Shane, she thought this would be great if we could do an ongoing series of community currents, and she, and I'm sure there's other residents involved in the planning and execution of it, really do all the heavy lifting, and we provide the space and we make sure there's batteries in the microphones, usually, and that's it. And anyways, this isn't what I have written on my notes to talk about, but I've just been thinking about it a lot lately. And I just wanted to express my appreciation for all of you for the very, very important role that you all play in creating a meaningful and an enriching experience for all of the residents around you. So give yourselves a round of applause for the great work that you do. All right, let's get into all the good stuff and some of the not so good stuff. Do we want to start with the good stuff or the not so good stuff? All right. Okay, moving on to the not so good. No, I'm just kidding. We've got lots of good stuff. Let me see here. We're making some really good progress in the planning of what is phase 2 of our campus master plan, which is the Galleria remodel. We have, you have probably all heard by now, but we have a strategic, I don't know if we even have an official title for it, a committee, which is sort of a boring name, task force, which sounds a little maybe too aggressive. But we have a team that consists of some team members, some residents, members of the resident council, and members of our advisory board, the community advisory board, who are really doing a lot of the heavy lifting during this sort of planning stages of the Galleria remodel. So we had a very productive meeting about 2 weeks ago, and we're moving on to, will be essentially the third round of drawings right now for the Galleria remodel. For those who may not have heard, essentially the area that is included in this phase of the campus master plan is essentially from fire door to fire door. So just to the outside of the elevators near the assisted living elevators, and then on the other side, the fire doors on the other side, moving towards the dining room. Everything in between both upstairs and downstairs is going to be remodeled. So what we're working on right now is still sort of the space planning, and not necessarily, we haven't gotten into any details about, you know, what the chairs are going to look like, what the light fixtures are going to look like. But really what we're working on is making sure that we, the space itself is planned appropriately. There's not going to be many structural or significant structural changes, but there may be a wall here or there that's moved slightly in one direction or another. We're looking at upstairs, how currently there's the railings with the sort of windows that overlook. We're looking at making some minor, I guess that technically they'd be structural changes to that. So we're still a ways away from, you know, putting a shovel in the ground, and or we're actually a ways away of knowing when we will be putting a shovel in the ground. But rest assured, the planning is moving forward. And I'm excited I'm excited at where we're at. And over the course of the next few months, we'll probably have a lot more information to start sharing, and a lot more of a better idea of the timeline we're going to be looking at for actual construction. We are going to be starting the farmers markets once again. And so we're excited. The first farmers market is going to be on May, I didn't write down, 19th, May 19th. And we've heard a lot of feedback from our farmers markets. There's been various versions of the farmers markets over the past several years, or at least the years that I've been here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to continue to have, I guess, the sort of the latest version of the farmers market that we've had, with delicious fresh fruits, vegetables, some baked goods, breads, wines, and maybe some other, I know we've had some local honeys and other things. So that will remain as we've done it in the past. We also are going to have, continue to have live music for the farmers markets. And then what we're going to do is something that we've done years ago, but not recently, is have a barbecue day. And so it'll be a great event where We'll have a delicious barbecue lunch that will be served out in the fountain court. And residents can eat out in the fountain court, go into the dining rooms. They can take food to go if they'd like to. But we're really looking forward to that. Switch, who is our interim dining services director, he's very excited about it. And I know the rest of the team is as well, and hopefully residents will be. So again, that will be May 19th. We haven't totally finalized what the ongoing schedule will be for the farmers market. I think we're going to probably see how it goes for the first one, and then at that point decide if it's something that we do on a monthly basis or if we do it every 2 weeks or something else. So first one again, May 19th. Speaking of Switch, have many of you had the opportunity to meet Switch at all, interact with him at all in the dining room or anywhere else throughout the community? Okay. Switch is, he was with us. He actually worked for Sodexo years ago. And while we were partners with Sodexo for a dining program, he was here a couple of different times, actually, I think. And he is now working for Morrison, which is great. And so he's with us on an interim basis until our next dining services director starts. And on that note, we'll make a slight shift from the good news to the not so good news. We're very excited. We met with a great candidate, Khalil, a few weeks ago. And sadly, I think we put a notice out last week or so. Sadly, his father passed away, and his father and most of his family's in their home country of Jordan. And he went out to Jordan to be with his family and go through everything that they needed to go through with his father's passing. And he was anticipated to return in about 3 weeks, and it doesn't look like he is going to be returning as quickly as he had hoped. He's been very open and transparent with us that he, at this point, he doesn't have a definitive timeline for when he's going to be back here in California. So we've made the decision, and he is aware that we're going to reopen the search for a dining services director. If we get to a point where we haven't found someone yet and Khalil is back in California, we'd certainly move forward. But we all agree that we don't want to delay finding the right permanent candidate for that position longer than necessary. So we are back on the hunt. And I'm actually looking forward to, I'm going to be meeting with a candidate that's being presented to us from the Morrison team tomorrow afternoon. And from the looks of it, it's a strong candidate. But we'll see how it goes when we meet with him in person tomorrow. It's not the greatest of news. We were looking forward to Khalil's start, but hopefully we'll be able to find an alternate candidate who will be just as good, if not better, in the not too distant future. In the meantime, though, Switch will continue to serve our community as an interim dining services director until we find a permanent person for that position. On the subject of dining services, some of you may have seen a notice that was published today. Josh, one of our servers, is returned to the community. So if you see Josh in the dining room, I think he's here today. He is. Oh, perfect. Josh was one of our excellent servers in the dining room and left to pursue some other endeavors and decided to come back. And we are grateful for that. You may have seen as well some other notifications that we've put up on TLG Connect of some additional new team members that have joined our team. Yesterday, we had a new caregiver, a best friend in the Grove, that started with us. We had Marvin, who's a new a janitor on our custodial team, started last week. And we have a new caregiver in the lodge who's starting this afternoon, I believe. Her name is Hannah. And we have several additional new team members that are going to be starting within the next week or two. Probably sound like a broken record, but I have never seen a more challenging labor market's not the right word, challenging labor situation than we're experiencing right now. And I know that it creates challenges for residents. We appreciate sincerely appreciate your patience and understanding and your support as we welcome new team members to the community. And we know obviously it places an additional burden on our team members that are here working hard, especially our dining services team members that are running really short of servers. We just appreciate them, and we appreciate your support and your understanding. Our human resources team is working incredibly hard to do a couple of things. One, to recruit. That is goal number one. Goal number two is to make sure that once we've hired new team members, their onboarding experience is a positive experience. We have worked at an organizational level to really overhaul our new team member onboarding experience. And our goal is we've put in some very, very specific steps to make sure that our new team members experience from day one, their first day at the terraces, through day 30 and beyond, is a really great experience. What we've learned is if we can retain our team members and have high retention and job satisfaction in the first 1 year of employment, that team member is going to stick around for a significant amount of time. And so we're really, really focusing on that first 30 days experience to get our new team members started on the right foot, and really focus then on throughout obviously their entire employment, but that first 1 year to make sure that we don't lose team members in that first year. Because if they stick with us for that first year, like I said, they're going to stick with us statistically speaking, they're going to stick with us for many, many years after that. We are going to be having an on-site job fair that will be taking place on May 18th here at the community. And so you'll probably see some information posted and published around leading up to that. And then on that day, hopefully we will have a massive amount of prospective team members that are going to be coming in and visiting our community. One of the things that we're doing as well to help hopefully encourage people to come to that job fair and find out what opportunities we have here at the terraces, and allow us to interview them and potentially even offer them a position on the spot, is a week before that, a little over a week before that, we're going to be having a team member appreciation event here. It's actually going to be outside, and we're going to have a couple of food trucks come in, and it's actually one of the first days of National Nurses Week. So we like to recognize our nurses, but really extend that to all of our team members. So on that day, not only are we going to have a great event to thank our team members for the great work that they're doing, we're going to open that up to everyone that works in the nursing field in the greater community as well. So essentially, if you're a nurse or you're a nursing assistant, that maybe works down the street or maybe works somewhere else, we're going to have a taco truck and an ice cream truck, and we're going to do some raffles and some other fun things. And we're going to invite all of those, anyone in the nursing field, to come and join us on that day. So hopefully that day we'll have people come by, maybe just stop in and grab something to eat. And then on the way out, we'll give them a nice little invitation to come back the following week for the job fair. So that's just one of many things that our human resources and our recruitment teams are working on to help bring in as many new team members as we possibly can. And I share that just to hopefully reinforce that we know how challenging it is, and we really are doing a lot of work, a lot of in front of the scenes, I don't know, behind the scenes work as well as workout that's more visible. Let's see, speaking of recruitment and open positions, we haven't made any official announcements, but some of you may have heard our activities coordinator in the lodge, our assisted living activities coordinator, Mina, she has decided to step down. She's going to be moving on to, actually, I think she's going to be traveling out of the country, actually, for an undetermined amount of time. And so we are actively recruiting to find good candidates to fill that very, very important role of life enrichment and activities coordinators for residents in the lodge. So we have a few candidates that have already applied. We're in the process of reviewing and we'll be interviewing soon. And so hopefully we will have that position filled very soon. As soon as we have some definitive announcements to make, we'll let you know. One of the things as well that on the subject of recruitment and retention as well is we all know this is a challenging economy that we're living in. And just wanted to, one thing that I wanted to share that is interesting. In some ways, it's a really good thing. In other ways, it scares me to death and keeps me, and I'm sure others, up at night, is wages. Wages that that we have to pay our team members, or that we get to pay our team members. I was looking at some reports a couple of weeks ago, and it was comparing our average hourly wage, or our average cost per, it's essentially our average wage per team member. Looking at the first 3 months of 2021 and comparing that to the first 3 months of 2022. And anyone have any idea of what percentage increase wages have gone up from last year to this year? Any guesses? Just wages, just what we're paying the team members. Any guesses? We got a 10%, an 18%, 20%. We're all in the ballpark. It's roughly slightly over 15% increase in wages from last year to this year. And that's significant. And to kind of put that into perspective, our monthly expense of salaries and wages here at the Terraces is right around $1 million per month. And so you take 15% of $1 million, and I'm not a mathematician, but that's a lot of money at $150,000 per month. And so I share that one, just I don't know, misery loves company, I guess. I don't know. But I share that just to help kind of put it in perspective of really the challenges, some of the challenges that we're facing, because we have this difficult balance where we need to, if we were selling I don't know, if we were a hot dog vendor, right? And we're selling hot dogs and our wages had to go up by 15% or our operating expenses went up by 15%. What do? Well, you just charge another 15% for your hot dog, right? Obviously, we're not going to say, okay, like every year, we're just going to increase we have to charge our residents 15% more every year because within a year or two, like everyone would move out. And then, and so there's definitely a balance. We are very mindful of doing everything that we can to make sure that, thinking ahead to that, monthly fee increases for next year and 2 years from now. We're very mindful of that and making sure that we are doing what we can to attract the best talent to come to our community and also find ways to pay for them. So that being said, like I said earlier, several new team members that are recently started or will be starting soon. So thank you for helping them feel welcome as a part of our community. Search for a new chef. We have one candidate that I have not met yet that has not officially been presented to us for consideration yet. But I met with Gina Armanini, who's our Regional Director of Operations for Dining Services. And she let me know yesterday that there's a chef candidate that will likely be presented to us within the next few days. But that's it at the moment. So yeah, I don't have any more information than that at the moment. Yes, hopefully you are still eating. On the subject actually of dining services and the community currents that took place the other day, one of the topics that came up in their presentation was what the town is doing to reduce the town's environmental impact. And I've had, while I was sitting there, there were a couple of things that came to my mind that I wanted to share. We're working with our dining services team to eliminate the use of plastic bags that we're currently using. We've been using them really during the heat of the pandemic. We were using anything that we could possibly find because nobody had anything. But now our dining services team is working on replacing the plastic bags with paper bags, and then making sure that any disposable utensils that we utilize. Did lights just go out? Oh, you know what? I think they might do. Yeah, they're doing their regular generator tests. So I guess, anyways, generator works. It sounds like, so that's good. Anyway, so we're going to be making sure that we replace our plastic bags with paper bags and any disposable products that we use. Make sure we're using compostable products. Wanted to also briefly plug and invite everyone to join the service of Remembrance and Renewal that will take place on Friday, May 6th. So a week from tomorrow. This is going to be, I'm really, really looking forward to this event. It will give us, our whole community, the opportunity to remember those that we have lost over the course of the last really almost 3 years, because there's some residents and neighbors and friends and loved ones that passed before the pandemic, but we didn't have the opportunity to really give them the memorial that they deserved due to the pandemic. So that's going to be, again, next Friday at 2 o'clock. Ms. Jacobs. Thank you for that comment. The comment in question is for those that are taking meals to go, instead of dealing with disposable stuff, why don't we have residents bring their own containers that we're able to utilize? Two comments on that. Because of infection control and potential contamination, we can't actually legally, we're not allowed to take to use residents' personal containers to bring them in to put food in. But we are exploring an alternate option, which would essentially be reusable to-go containers. So there's a lot of logistics that we would need to work out to be able to move forward with it, figuring out how to make sure they get returned and how they get washed and how they get stored and dried appropriately. But we are looking at potentially having reusable to-go containers. So if you were to order a meal to go or to be delivered to your home, it would be delivered in most of the options that we're looking at are glass containers that then would then be returned, and then those we could put through our washing machine and go through the whole process to disinfect them and then reuse them again. So that's something that we are exploring. Actually, we're exploring at the moment, and hopefully we could find a way to make that work. So the comment or the question was, unless it's a sick tray, won't we charge for the containers or for the containers? Maybe we can do that. It's not a bad idea. Yeah. Yeah. So the comment sort of following up on that was, there's still quite a few residents that are ordering to-go meals, and obviously there's labor that goes into that, and there's expense that goes into that, and then there's waste that goes into it because of the containers. That's a really interesting point, and that's something that we talk about with our dining services team quite a bit. Is the reality is we actually need well, we don't need, but it really helps when there are a certain number of residents that do get a to-go meal, because it takes a burden off of the dining room and also just logistics of the space of the capacity of the dining room. So I think it's a good question, a good comment that I'll take back. And yeah, there is a little bit of a balance because as you mentioned, yeah, it actually does help us to have a certain number of residents that choose to eat at home or take their meals to go, at least on occasionally. Yes. Yeah. So the ones that are taking meals to go now aren't being charged extra. Yeah. I have a question, and I should know this, but for anyone that has recently gotten a to-go meal, I know there was when we were doing everything, we were delivering everything. There was a lot of feedback that we got of, "Hey, I've got a kitchen full of napkins and plastic spoons and forks that I'm never going to use." Are they still putting a big stack of napkins and disposable utensils in the bags? No? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Anything else dining related before we move on? Okay. Just a couple of other items that I have on my list. Just wanted to let you know that there's a lot of great work that's being done by the Foster Family Education Fund Committee. For those of you who may not know, the Foster Family Education Fund is a scholarship fund that was created by a family by the name of Foster. So it's not, Foster is the name of the family that created this fund. And it provides scholarships for team members to be able to pursue education. Hello? Whoa. I'm not going to hold that one as close to my mouth. Yeah, so the Foster Family Education Fund provides scholarships for team members, and we currently have 2 team members that are receiving funding through the Foster Family Education Fund, and we have another 5 or 6 or 7 team members that have pending applications to continue their education, and most, if not all of them, should be funded in full or in part by the Foster Family Education Fund, or also we have a separate fund through Human Good Education Fund. So it's exciting to see some of our team members pursuing additional education that will help them continue in their careers and advance professionally and financially as well. So wanted to thank the Foster Family Education Fund Committee for the great work that they do. And I think that's all that I had on my list. What else would you like to talk about for the next 15 minutes? Ms. Taylor.
I don't have any topic, but I have a question. What happens, what is in the during the intro when the activity director is gone and no, I can handle that. It's very important.
So the question is, if we have a plan in place, an interim plan in place for our activities coordinator in assisted living. The short and honest answer is no, but we will soon. So we are working on 2 things. We're working on, obviously, recruiting as quickly as we can to find the right position, but we're also working on our interim plan. We haven't gotten that ironed out yet, to be honest, because it's only been a couple of days, but we will have an interim plan in place, and hopefully the interim plan will be a fairly short interim plan until we have a permanent replacement on board. We really know how important that position is, and not only to fill it quickly, but fill it with the right person or the right people. So that definitely has my attention and has all of our attention. Yes, Ms. Lovell.
Sign up for the witness tea. It's going up fast. And the reservations are limited.
Please remember to sign up for the women's tea. It takes place on May 13th. There are a limited number of spaces, 80 spaces, and you can sign up through the activities cube on TLG Connect or up at the concierge desk. They can help you get signed up. So again, May 13th, it's filling up fast. So get your spots before they're all gone. Yes. Good question. The question is, are we doing anything for water conservation efforts? And yes, there's quite a bit that has been done and is being done. There was actually a letter that was published on TLG Connect maybe a week or two ago. But I don't think a copy of that, correct me if I'm wrong, went out with the weekly updates, or maybe it did. What we can do is Vincent Foresta, our Director of Buildings and Grounds, he has been working with his team and actually in collaboration with several residents to make sure that we're doing all that we can to conserve our water usage. And they put together a letter that outlines everything that they're currently working on or have done. The good news is actually we have always for years been fairly good at our water conservation efforts and minimizing our wasteful use of water. But there are some things that we have recently done that we weren't previously doing. So I'm not sure, perhaps we can put a copy of that, include a copy of that with the weekly updates this week. Or we may make copies available. We'll make sure that that's communicated out so that everyone's aware of the work that's being done. Honestly, I don't know off the top of my head what the specifics are, but that the letter outlines it real well, and I can make sure we get you a copy as well.
Somebody took down the sign out of the old building elevator that announces events.
Oh, the sign inside the elevator, left frame. Yeah, that one, I think there was another one too that somehow disappeared or broke. And I was informed a couple of days ago that new ones have been ordered, and so they're en route, and they'll be hung as soon as we have them on hand.
Yeah.
Any other questions, topics you'd like to discuss? Any complaints? We always like those, even when they're difficult to hear. It's important. Yeah, I guess so. The best tea. That's a good idea. No, yeah, we should take that down. And we put that up for a team member event. It was a while ago, and it's still there. We'll get it taken down. You're welcome. The team member appreciation, the one that I was referring to earlier, where we're inviting the people from the outside out to join us, it's actually going to be on Monday, that Monday, the Monday, May 9th. And then throughout that whole week, actually, we're going to be doing different things. It's, I think I mentioned, it's Nursing Appreciation Week. So we're going to be doing several things throughout that week to recognize our team members. So if you see team members that are maybe dressed in a different way than we usually dress, we're going to have like sort of like a spirit week. So there'll be maybe one day where people are dressed wearing like their sports gear, or another day where people are dressed. I don't know what they are. But it'll be a fun week to really celebrate our team members. So there'll be things going on that entire week, but that particular event takes place on that Monday, May 9th. I don't know, did we? Oh.
So the woman coming to talk with the tea is talking about women in 19th century California.
Oh, yeah. I don't, yeah, we did. Well, I don't know where it is, but we'll track it down. If not, we'll get a replacement. Thank you for bringing that up.
And then they stored it with the flags that we always use over culture, right?
Oh, yeah, maybe it just got whisked away with the rest of the flags. Yeah. All right, we'll track it down. If not, we'll get a replacement. Thanks for noticing that and mentioning it. What else? Anything else? Ms. Roth.
One year, they replaced Culture Day with the States Day. We celebrated the states that everybody came from. We haven't done that.
So the comment is there was 1 year, and I don't think we actually replaced it, but I think we did, in addition to the Multicultural Day, we did a day where we celebrated the different states and had sort of a similar day like the Multicultural Day, but just celebrate the different states. Yeah, that's something we could definitely consider. I know we're sort of currently in conversations about Multicultural Day for this year and what that will look like. And thank you for that suggestion. Maybe something that we could move forward with. Anything else? Carl, Mr. Clemmer.
You were talking in other loose terms about the with inflation being rapid, and you apparently also mentioned that wages are increasing. Will you be able to stay in the budget that you set aside for that? Will you have to increase? Where's that money coming from?
Thank you. Good question. So for those of you who may not have heard, Mr. Clemmer asked about the Galleria remodel, and with the state of inflation and how everything, including wages, is increasing a lot, astronomically. Will we be able to afford it? Will we be able to stick within the budget that we've allocated for that project? And if not, where will the funds come from? In short, we don't know yet. We have, when we initially started working with the designers and the architects, we let them know what our budget is and what our goals are. Things are changing at a very rapid pace, and so there in all likelihood there likely will be changes to what the expense will be. Working with our team will have to decide, okay, are there certain things where we need to adjust and scale back? And if not, where do the funds come from? Fortunately, we have a fairly significant, fairly substantial capital budget that we can work with. And what we would likely do is look at other projects that may be planned for this year or for the coming years, and maybe readjust the schedule on some of those other projects. We really want to make sure that we do this right. And our goal is that this is a remodel that we do that will keep the terraces of Los Gatos really being the premier community in the area, not only now, but for the next 5, 10, 15 years. And so we definitely want to make sure that we allocate and we spend what we need to make sure that we do it right and that it lasts and that we don't have to go back and make changes and make corrections. But obviously their costs will likely increase from the time we started until the time we finish. what we'd likely do, like I said, is reallocate funds for other projects that may be able to be pushed back for another year or two. All right, anything else? Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for those that are joining us from home. And if there's anything else we didn't talk about, but you'd like to reach out and chat about, let me know. Have a great day.